Welcome back to Two Aussie Thrifters. My name is Brad.
And my name is Jazz, and this is part 1 of the Ultimate Thrift Guide. So today we're going to talk to you about what men's clothing, shoes and accessories we look for in the op shop.
So in today's video, we're only going to talk about items that sell for over $40. So you can actually find this by going through the search function, putting in what you want to sell, filtering by sold, changing the condition to pre-owned, and setting the value for $40 plus. So the very first place that we like to hit when we go to the thrift store is the shoes. There are some absolute bargains to be had in shoes and some really good returns to be had as well. So here's some shoe brands that sell really well for us. Hoka Uno, as they say, or Hoka 11, depending which way you want to look at it. Absolute great pair of running shoes. They do some great styles like the Chifton that sell really well for us. So make sure you keep your eye out for Hoka Uno because they are a great brand to resell. Next up are Brooks. Brooks do some great running shoes. We actually picked up this pair of Brooks Beast in our last thrift, and they go for some great monies. Anywhere from 50 up to 60, 70, and sometimes even more if they're in really good condition. Asics, a brand that we always speak about. Keanu and Nimbus, absolute killers. They always sell for that sort of 45 up to sort of even 80, 90, some of them. So be on the lookout for those. Next up, Nike. Obviously an iconic brand. They do some really great shoes. We always look at basketball. We look for running shoes like Nike Shox. There's also some other running styles like Romero that do really well. So keep an eye out for Nike when you're in the thrift shop in the shoe section. Doc Martens, absolute killer brand. We love picking up the boots. We also pick up some of the lows and they do quite well. So keep an eye out for Doc Martens when you're in the store. Keep an eye out for that iconic yellow stitching around the sole. Be really careful with shoes as well that you're picking up good quality. So check the soles, check the stitching, check the front toe and the heel because those are the parts that get damaged. Kain, you see us pick up Kain all the time. Absolute awesome hiking brand. And you're just going to be looking for that little Kain logo. Make sure you check the toe guards on these. Being hiking shoes, those are the ones that get sort of beat up pretty badly. But yeah, Kain, amazing brand. Sticking to the hiking stuff, you're also going to be looking out for stuff like Merrell, great brand for hiking, and Kathmandu, another great hiking brand. Solomon is a great pair of sort of cross trainers. They do a lot of cross training running shoes. Solomon, a great brand. They usually go for upwards of $50. So definitely keep an eye out for Solomon when you're in the store. Timberland, I know you guys see us pick up Timberland where we can. These are quite hard to find, but when we do find them, we are happy to pay up because they will sell for over $100 in most occasions. Check the condition, check the sole, and you usually can tell the style by the inside of the shoe, so you should be able to work out what they're going to sell for. Obviously, R.M. Williams, we love selling the boots. They do really well for us, and we'll pay up to $50 because a lot of times they'll sell for well over $100. Sticking in that sort of Western category, you can also look at stuff like Wrangler. We've sold some Wrangler boots before, and they do quite well. And also, Ariat is another great boot brand to keep an eye out for when you're in the thrift. Last up, footy boots. So we don't pick up a huge amount of footy boots, but I know Diary of a Flipper is well into that game. You're looking for stuff like Nike Mercurials, the top end boots. A lot of some of the Adidas do quite well, and so also some of the Asics do quite well. Make sure you just check up the style though, because there are varying ranges in those brands from really cheap to quite top end. So that is the shoes. I'll let Jazzy get into the next category for you right now.
The next section that we hit when we're looking in the men's gear is the jeans. We love selling denim. A really classic one, Levi's. Everyone's on the lookout for Levi's. There are a lot of them listed on eBay. We specifically look out for 501s, 504 and 505 style. And if they're vintage, even better. Also, we say it all the time, this is going to come up in every category, R.M. Williams. We absolutely love pick up R.M. Williams jeans because they are quality. And again, we sometimes pick up vintage ones as well as new ones. Vintage does sell for higher. We keep an eye out for Scotch and Soda. This is a really great bread and butter brand to look out for. And also Diesel. When we're looking for Diesel, we don't pick up every style. Our absolute favorite is the Larky. This one sells really well for us, always over $40, usually over $50. G-Star is another one. They have a huge range of styles and we often look out for something that's a little bit unique, something that's tapered. They do something called 3D arc. It looks a little bit bow-legged, but it is popular. People want to buy it. Nudie jeans are absolutely fantastic, high quality as well, and we pick up pretty much every style of nudie that we find. Some of them, like the 16 drip and the organic, are really popular, so they do vary in price, so make sure you're looking inside the jeans to find that style name. Harley-Davidson, another fantastic brand that we look for in pretty much every section. Their denim is popular for motorcycle riders, but also just everyday streetwear. We don't find this brand as often as we would like, but we are always on the lookout for the Evisu seagull logo. These are really high quality and they often make their jeans with a self-edge. So you can check if a jean is self-edge by turning the cuff inside out, and have a Google if you're not sure what it looks like. It's a self-finished denim. So you can turn the cuff inside out, and if you see that amazing self-edge on the inside, you're going to make mega bucks. We also do keep an eye out for Thomas Cook, and we prefer to pick it up brand new if we can, which does sometimes happen. This one usually sells for $40 plus, or if it's new then up to like $70, $80, and they also do winter gear that is lined, which you can see in one of our previous pickup videos. Lastly, but definitely not least, we love this brand. It's motorcycle jeans called Dragon. And these stand out on the rack because they have a yellow inside lining made of Kevlar. We never say Kevlar in our title when we pick these up because it is a Vero word. So we call them Dragon lined motorcycle jeans. And we pick these up every single time we find them because motorbike riders absolutely love them. Fantastic quality. So we're done in the jeans section. Let's nip over to winter jackets.
The next section, which I always love to hit, is the jackets, jumpers and vests. There are some great brands to look out for in this section. We look out for stuff like the North Face, a great hiking brand. We look out for Pendleton, which is usually 100% virgin wool, and they go really well. We look out for brands like Patagonia, another great hiking brand. We don't see a lot of it in Australia, but when you do, you know you're going to make a lot of money, which gives it the name Patagucci in the reselling world because it is worth a lot of money. Kat has come to join us. Next up is Carhartt, an absolute killer brand. Most sort of found in the US, but we have found a few pieces here in Australia. Great brand. If you can find the vintage stuff, it is huge money. So look out for that little Carhartt logo. Definitely worth picking up in the thrift store. Next up, we've said it in most other categories, Harley-Davidson. If you can find Harley-Davidson leather, you are going to make some real good profit. We found a couple vests in store before and flipped them for great money. Look out for the long leather jackets and also just standard jumpers because they will sell for good money as well. Next up, Superdry. Now don't pick up every single thing that you find in Superdry, but some of their bigger jackets go for really good money, even pre-owned. So we picked up a couple jackets before and sold them for sort of $70, $80. Some of the thinner stuff I'd probably leave, but definitely the thicker stuff is worth picking up. These two here, vintage surf brands, Billabong and Quicksilver. If you find vintage Quicksilver or Billabong, you are going to make really great money. Look out for those older logos. I'll put some examples up here for you guys so you can have a look, but definitely worth picking up. Vintage surfwear is a huge category just in its own. Next up, Kathmandu. We love picking up Kathmandu. Brand new Kathmandu stuff goes for ridiculous money. So if you can find used and in good quality, you know you're going to get some good money back on it. We look for the thicker hiking jackets, but we also pick up some of the thinner sort of rain jackets as well, if it's the right price. Next up, Ferrari, or pretty much any vintage car or even new car stuff does quite well. We usually pick up the Ferrari stuff. Now you do have to be careful with this stuff because it does get faked, but if we find a vintage Puma Ferrari jacket or anything like that, we will definitely pick it up and it does sell for great money. Next up, G-Star. You see us pick up G-Star all the time. We pick up the jackets, we pick up the sort of jumpers. Anything a little bit different or a little bit unique, we'll pick up in this range. Trying to pick it up for that sort of under $10 price, hoping to flip it for a sort of 50 to 60 upwards. Again, you're sick of probably hearing this brand now, R.M. Williams. We pick up the jackets all the time. If you can find like the dry skin ones, absolute killers, and will make you over $100 most of the time. Even like the blazers and stuff do quite well, so keep an eye out for R.M. Williams. Pretty much in any category, you will make money on that. Dale of Norway. Now, we've only found this brand once, but it absolutely is a killer brand to look out for. They do a lot of sort of the thicker wool jackets and jumpers. Definitely keep an eye out for Dale of Norway because you will make some really good money. Last up is Levi's, and in particular vintage Levi's jackets. So if you can find vintage Levi's jackets, there is some very good money in that. Keep an eye out for that tag on the back, and you should be able to do a quick search and find out when it's from, what sort of era and what range it's from. So we don't find a lot, but we definitely keep an eye out for Levi's. Even some of the newer stuff does quite well because they do a lot of collabs at the moment as well. So keep an eye out for Levi's when you're out in a thrift store. All right, back over to Jazz.
Into the activewear. Activewear. We look out for Lululemon in both the men's and women's section. We don't find men's as often, but we find it can go for more because there's less of it listed on eBay. So always having a look out for that little symbol, which is usually just on the leg so you can see it as you're brushing past. We love to sell cycling jerseys, and there's two main brands that we look out for, which is Castelli, which has the little red scorpion on it, and also SMS Santini, which you can recognize by the Italian colors. I always check these in case they have like gravel rash on them. If someone's fallen off their bike and then donated their jersey, I don't want it. But if they're in good condition, they're a really good seller for us. We also look out for your standard Nike, Adidas, Puma, but we want the vintage stuff. So we try to keep in our minds what those older tags look like so that we can nab some vintage gold while we're flipping through. There's a lot of new stuff as well. Some of it goes well, but there's just so much listed that you want to be really careful which styles you're picking up. We do keep an eye out for FootJoy. It often just says FJ, and we find these for like golfing, so they sometimes cross over into the polo shirt section as well. They are quite a good brand that we don't find as often as we would like to. We love to pick up Kappa. I have seen Brad sprint across the store before to nab some Kappa off the shelf. The logo is absolutely iconic. We always put streetwear in the title when we list this, and we will pay a fair bit for Kappa just because we absolutely know that it's going to sell. Always on the lookout for vintage 90s AFL logo, also NRL. Sports gear goes really great when it's got a bit of age behind it. The newer members stuff we pass over quite a lot, but if it's got that old gold logo, we're all over it. And finally, we also keep an eye out for some particular Adidas, because Adidas is known to do a bunch of collaborations with celebrities, with other companies. So if it starts with Addy and it's two blended together, it might not be fake, it might be a collaboration that's a little bit rarer and could get you some megabucks.
Next up, we're talking about button up or button down, long sleeve shirts, and also short sleeve shirts, because they're sort of usually in the same sort of section. So obviously the big one that you're looking out for is Mambo Loud. We don't see a lot of Mambo Loud. I actually haven't found one in a thrift store with the bright colors. I've found a plain one before, but Mambo Loud is an absolute bolo to be looking out for when you're in the thrift store. Often they will sit near the Lowe's, and I'd have confused them for Lowe's before, so keep an eye out for that little Mambo Loud logo on the back of the shirt. Next up, R.M. Williams. Obviously, every single category that we talk about R.M. Williams, and that's because the stuff sells for good money and consistently. Look for the older stuff, as we always say, but even the newer gear will sell quite well. Just make sure that you are checking that the size tag is still in there. Same with all of these things, sometimes they do get removed and it's harder to price. Next up, Burberry. Be very careful with Burberry because it does get faked. We have found some real stuff in the thrift store before, so it can be done. Make sure you do your research on this brand and know the label, because as I said, it does get faked a lot. If you can find this in a long sleeve shirt, you'll get upwards of $70. We've found a couple before and sold them close to 100, so definitely keep an eye out for Burberry. Next up, Scotch and Soda, another brand that we don't find a lot, but we see a lot of other resellers picking up and talking about. So a brand that you need to be keeping an eye out for when you're in a thrift store, you'll be getting that sort of $40 to $45 on that brand. Next up, we're going to talk about polos. Again, very similar sort of section, so you should sort of find this stuff in the same sort of area. Other brands to look out for in this range are your Paul & Shark, a great sort of yachting brand. We don't find a lot of it, and it has dropped off a little bit, but when I looked at solds, they are selling, so keep an eye out for that. Fred Perry, another really great brand. They do long sleeve shirts as well as polos, but another great brand to keep an eye out when you're in the thrift store. Canterbury. Now there are some absolute killer Canterbury pieces. There's the long sleeve uglies, as they call them. They're sort of a mashup of different materials that look quite different, but they can go for real good money. And even some of the more basic stuff does okay. So keep an eye out for Canterbury when you're in the thrift store. Next up, Polo Ralph Lauren. Now be very careful with Polo Ralph Lauren for 2 reasons. It does get faked and there is some low quality stuff as well. So what I'm talking about today is their big pony range and also some of their double ponies, which do quite well. I'll put up some pictures so you guys know what to look out for. But if you can find them in the thrift store, you'll make some really good money as well.
Finishing off in the men's section, we have t-shirts, caps and hats, and the belts. For t-shirts, we're flipping through and we're looking for vintage tags, things like Acme, Top Heavy, Screen Stars, and I do use the online guides to see what different eras I need to be keeping an eye out for. Specifically, we're looking for band tees, especially if it's a tour t-shirt that has the dates on the back. We're looking for vintage sports gear, and we're looking for nostalgia. For instance, Brad has put together quite the collection of Space Jam and Flintstones 90s t-shirts. We do brush through the hat section, but we're really only looking for really high quality brands like a Kubra, or in the caps, we're looking again for the vintage sports stuff, vintage automotive like F1 or like John Deere, and also the AFL. In the belt section, we're really only looking for your brands like RM Williams and Wrangler, maybe your Hugo Boss. We also do look in the cabinets for these because sometimes a good quality belt, they will keep up the front, so always look behind the counter for your belts as well. We would also pick up things like Gucci if we found it, but we never ever have. Please let us know if you've ever found an amazing high quality belt.
So that is part 1 of the Ultimate Thrift Guide. That is everything that we look out for when we're in the men's section. Obviously there's tons of other brands and we probably missed some stuff. So let us know in the comments below men's brands or accessories that you look for when you're out in the thrift store, and stay tuned for part 2 because we're probably going to do every single section of the thrift store so we can all learn some stuff. Thanks for watching. Give us a big thumbs up and we'll see you next time on 2 Aussie Thrifters. Bye for now.